You know what's scary? Most people walk around every single day with warning signs that their heart is in trouble, and they don't even realize it. I'm not talking about sudden chest pain or a dramatic collapse. I'm talking about the quiet, sneaky signs that your body's been whispering to you for months, maybe even years, and you've just brushed them off as normal. But those small signals, they could be the early signs of heart failure. Now, before you panic, this isn't about scaring you. It's about waking you up. Because when it comes to your heart, what you don't know can literally hurt you. And the good news is, once you recognize these early signs, you can do something about them. You can change your habits, see a doctor early, and maybe, just maybe, save your own life. So sit tight. I want you to listen carefully, because by the end of this video, you might see your body and your health in a whole new light. Let's start with something that happens to a lot of people. You wake up and you just feel tired. You think, I just need more sleep. But no matter how long you rest, you still feel drained. You drag yourself through the day like your body's made of bricks. That constant fatigue, that feeling like your energy's gone for no reason, that can be an early sign your heart isn't pumping blood efficiently. When your heart can't deliver enough oxygen to your tissues, your body literally slows down. It's not just laziness. It's your body's alarm system saying, hey, something's off. And here's the tricky part. Fatigue from heart failure doesn't feel like being tired after a workout. It's deeper. You wake up tired. You sit tired. You breathe tired. It's like no matter what you do, your energy tank never refills. And if that's been happening to you lately, that's your first warning sign. Now, let's talk about something most people completely ignore. Shortness of breath. You might notice you get winded climbing stairs that used to be easy. Or maybe you lie down at night and suddenly feel like you can't catch your breath. That's not just being out of shape. That can mean fluid is building up in your lungs because your heart isn't pumping strong enough to move blood efficiently. If you ever had to prop yourself up with extra pillows just to breathe better at night, or you wake up gasping, please don't ignore that. That's not a normal, getting older thing. That's your heart trying to tell you, I'm struggling. Now let's move on to something that seems harmless. Swelling in your feet or ankles. Maybe you come home from work, take off your shoes, and notice your socks left deep marks on your skin. You tell yourself, I must have been standing too long. But if that swelling happens regularly, especially in the evenings, that could be a sign of fluid retention, a common symptom of heart failure. When the heart's not strong enough to pump blood effectively, fluid starts leaking out of the blood vessels and pools in your tissues. And it doesn't stop at your feet. Sometimes your legs, your hands, even your abdomen can swell. You might even gain weight rapidly, not because you're eating more, but because your body is holding onto water. That's why people with heart issues sometimes see their weight fluctuate by several pounds overnight. If you notice your rings getting tighter, your shoes fitting differently, or sudden bloating, your body could be retaining fluid, and that's a huge red flag. Another subtle one, persistent coughing or wheezing. You might think you're just fighting off allergies, or maybe it's a smoker's cough. But if that cough sticks around for weeks, especially one that gets worse when you lie down, it could be linked to fluid build up in the lungs. Again, caused by a weak heart. Some people even cough up pink, frothy mucus, That's a serious emergency because it means fluid is leaking where it shouldn't be. Now here's one that catches people off guard: loss of appetite and nausea. When your heart starts struggling, blood flow to your digestive system decreases. That makes it harder for your body to process food, and you start to feel full faster or even feel sick after eating small amounts. People with heart failure often say, "I just don't feel like eating anymore." Sometimes they even lose weight without trying. And you might think that's a good thing. Hey, I'm losing weight. But when it comes from loss of appetite, bloating, or discomfort after meals, it could be your heart indirectly affecting your stomach. If your food habits change drastically, it's worth paying attention. Let's talk about confusion or memory issues. A lot of people never connect that to heart problems. But when your heart can't pump enough blood, your brain doesn't get enough oxygen. You might notice you're forgetting simple things, having trouble focusing, or feeling mentally foggy. It's like your mind's working in slow motion. That's not just aging, it's another sign that your circulation isn't keeping up. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That sounds like a lot of symptoms that could mean anything. And you're right. But that's what makes heart failure so dangerous. Its signs hide behind normal, everyday experiences. They blend in. You think it's stress, you think it's age, you think it's just fatigue. Until one day your body says, "Enough." Here's another one: rapid or irregular heartbeat. Have you ever felt your heart racing out of nowhere? Or maybe you notice it skipping beats. That fluttering or pounding in your chest can mean your heart's working overtime to make up for its weakness. When it's not strong enough to pump efficiently, it speeds up to compensate. But that extra strain can make things worse over time. Some people describe it like their heart is flip-flopping or thumping. If that's happening often, especially when you're just sitting still, that's not something to ignore. It might not always be heart failure, but it's always worth getting checked. And this one might surprise you: trouble sleeping flat. You might not think twice about adding an extra pillow or two at night, but if you can't lie flat without feeling breathless, that's often due to fluid pooling in your chest. People with early heart failure often find themselves sleeping upright in chairs or needing several pillows to stay comfortable. If that's you, your heart could be struggling when you rest. Now, let's talk about something very subtle: increased urination at night. When your heart isn't pumping efficiently during the day, fluid can accumulate in your legs and ankles. But when you lie down at night, that fluid redistributes and gets filtered through your kidneys, making you run to the bathroom again and again. You might think it's just because you drank too much water, but if it happens consistently, that's another sign of early heart failure. And we can't forget about chest discomfort. Now, not everyone with heart failure experiences sharp pain like a heart attack. Sometimes it's more of a tightness, heaviness, or pressure that comes and goes. It can even spread to your neck, back, or jaw. You might brush it off as heartburn, muscle pain, or stress. But that subtle discomfort is your heart's way of saying, "I'm under strain." Then there's sudden weight gain. I'm not talking about fat gain. I mean quick, unexplained jumps in weight, like gaining 3, 4, even 5 pounds overnight. That's often water retention caused by fluid build-up. If your clothes suddenly fit tighter, your fingers feel swollen, or your scale jumps for no reason, That's another red flag that your body is retaining fluid because your heart isn't keeping up. Let's talk about lightheadedness and dizziness. Have you ever stood up and felt like the room was spinning? That can happen when your heart can't pump enough blood to your brain, dropping your blood pressure suddenly. It can make you feel weak, disoriented, or even cause you to faint. Some people describe it as a woozy feeling that comes and goes, but it's often tied to how efficiently your heart circulates blood. Another sneaky one is persistent bloating or abdominal swelling. When your heart weakens, fluid can build up in the liver and intestines, causing your belly to feel tight or distended. You might even lose your appetite or feel uncomfortable after eating very little. Many people mistake it for digestive issues or gas, but it's really your heart struggling to keep blood and fluids moving properly. And here's one more you probably never thought of: cold hands and feet. If your circulation is weak because your heart isn't pumping effectively, your extremities get less blood and oxygen, so your hands and feet may feel colder than the rest of your body, even in warm weather. Some people even notice their fingers or toes turning pale or bluish. That's not just poor circulation. It can be a sign that your heart's output is dropping. Now let's pause for a second, because here's the truth. Heart failure doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, silently over time, and the body keeps trying to adapt. Your heart starts working harder. Your kidneys start holding on to more fluid. Your blood pressure goes up, and before you know it, those small symptoms become big ones. But the good news is, you can catch it early. You can make changes before it's too late. If you recognize even 2 or 3 of these symptoms happening regularly, that's your cue to get checked. Not next month, not next year, now. Because every single year, millions of people die from heart disease that could have been prevented simply because they ignored the warning signs. They thought it was stress. They thought it was age. They thought it would just go away. But the body never whispers for no reason. And the best thing you can do for yourself is listen. Now, if you're wondering what to do next, start by talking to your doctor. Ask for a full heart evaluation. That might include an ECG, echocardiogram, or simple blood tests to check your heart's function. Don't wait for something dramatic to happen. Early diagnosis is everything, and in your daily life, take care of the one muscle that never gets to rest your heart. Cut back on processed foods. Reduce salt. Move your body every day. Even a 30-minute walk can strengthen your heart more than you think. Manage your stress. Sleep well. Stay hydrated. You'd be amazed how much your heart can heal when you give it the right support. Remember this, your heart doesn't ask for much. It just needs consistency. It needs you to show up for it, the same way it shows up for you every second of your life. So the next time you feel tired for no reason, or notice swelling in your ankles, or you're gasping for breath climbing stairs, don't ignore it. Don't shrug it off. Those are not just little things. Those are the early chapters of a story that you have the power to rewrite right now. Heart failure doesn't mean your life is over. It means it's time to start listening, to start acting, to start living healthier and smarter. Because one thing's for sure, you only get one heart. And if you take care of it, it will take care of you longer than you ever imagined. So, if this video helped open your eyes, do me a favor. Take a moment to really think about what your body's been trying to tell you lately, and then share this with someone you love, because you never know whose life it might save. And before you go, Remember this simple truth. Your heart speaks, maybe not in words, but in signals: fatigue, shortness of breath, swelling, coughing. They all mean something. Don't silence those signals. Your health is your wealth, and your heart, that's the engine that drives it all. So protect it, nourish it, move it, listen to it, because life is too short to ignore the whispers of the thing keeping you alive. Take care of your heart, and it'll take care of you for a lifetime. You know, when we talk about heart failure, most people immediately think about diet, cholesterol, lack of exercise, or smoking. And yes, all those things matter. But what almost nobody realizes is that one of the most dangerous and most ignored triggers of heart weakness isn't something you eat or drink. It's what you feel. Emotional stress. The kind that builds quietly inside you every day, tightening its grip, slowly wearing you down from the inside out. You might not see it. You might not even think it's affecting you. But emotional stress can accelerate heart weakness faster than almost anything else. And it rarely gives you obvious warning signs until your body is already crying out for help. Think about it. Every single time you get angry, anxious, or deeply worried, your body reacts instantly. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure spikes. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood your system. Now, if that happens once in a while, your body can handle it. It's built for that. That's your fight or flight system doing its job. But when that stress becomes a daily routine, when you wake up anxious, go to work angry, come home drained, and go to bed worrying, your heart never gets to rest. It stays in survival mode 24/7. And here's what most people don't understand. Your heart is a muscle, just like your arms or legs. It gets tired when it's overworked. Emotional stress keeps it pumping faster and harder, day after day, until that constant tension starts to weaken it. The walls of your heart can become stiff. The rhythm can get irregular. The blood flow gets less efficient. And over time, this constant invisible pressure can lead straight to heart failure. I've seen people who looked perfectly healthy on the outside, eating well, exercising, staying active, but they were under constant emotional pressure. Their jobs, relationships, finances, family responsibilities, social expectations, everything was weighing them down. They didn't smoke, they didn't drink, but stress was their poison. And that poison doesn't show up on a food label. It hides in your lifestyle. Let's break this down a little deeper. When your brain perceives stress, it sends a message to your adrenal glands to release hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals make your heart beat faster, your blood vessels tighten, and your blood pressure rise, preparing your body to fight the threat. But in modern life, the threat isn't a tiger or a physical danger. It's a deadline, a bad relationship, an unpaid bill, a toxic environment, or that constant mental load of trying to hold everything together. So your body keeps reacting as if it's in danger. Even when you're just sitting at your desk, your heart keeps working overtime. And eventually, it starts to break down from the wear and tear. Chronic stress does something else too. It promotes inflammation inside your blood vessels. Over time, that inflammation causes the arteries to become narrow and stiff, reducing the flow of oxygen-rich blood. It's like forcing your heart to pump through a clogged pipe. That's one of the silent ways stress contributes to heart failure. The damage happens slowly, but it's constant. And because you don't feel pain or see symptoms right away, you keep pushing through. You tell yourself, I'm just tired, or I just need a break, but that break never comes. You wake up the next day and do it all over again, and your heart pays the price every single time. Now, here's where it gets really tricky. Emotional stress doesn't just come from bad events, even good stress, the kind that comes with new opportunities or responsibilities, can strain your heart if it's constant and unmanaged. Getting a promotion, planning a wedding, starting a new business, those are positive things, but they still trigger the same physical stress response. The body doesn't distinguish between good and bad pressure, it just reacts. And the more it reacts, the more strain builds up on your cardiovascular system. Over time, that can lead to changes in your heart's electrical system. Some people start developing arrhythmias, irregular beats, or palpitations that come out of nowhere. Others experience sudden spikes in blood pressure or tightness in their chest during stressful moments. And while those symptoms might pass quickly, the damage inside doesn't just disappear. Think about people who go through heartbreak, grief, or deep emotional trauma. There's actually a medical term called ZECAS, stress-induced cardiomyopathy, S, or what doctors often call broken heart syndrome. It's a real physical condition where intense emotional distress temporarily weakens the heart muscle. The person might not have any previous heart issues, but that one overwhelming emotional event, a loss, a shock, a deep betrayal, can cause the heart to suddenly struggle to pump properly. In some cases, it looks just like a heart attack on an ECG. That's how powerful emotions can be on your physical heart. And even though broken heart syndrome can sometimes heal, not everyone's heart recovers fully. Some people develop lingering weakness, reduced heart function, or rhythm issues that stay with them for years. It's one of the clearest examples of how emotions and physical health are directly connected. Now, you might be thinking, but I can't just eliminate stress. Life is stressful, and you're right. Nobody can live a life completely free from stress, but you can learn to manage it before it manages you, because it's not just the stress itself that damages your heart. It's your reaction to it, your inability to release it, your habit of carrying it everywhere you go. When you're constantly under emotional pressure, you often start neglecting the very habits that protect your heart. You eat whatever's convenient, skip exercise because you're too tired, sleep poorly because your mind won't stop running, and isolate yourself because you're overwhelmed. All those small behaviors combine with stress to create the perfect storm for heart problems. And what's worse, emotional stress doesn't just hurt your heart directly, it also encourages other risky habits. People under chronic stress often turn to smoking, alcohol, caffeine, junk food, or even excessive work as a form of escape. Every one of those choices adds another layer of strain to your heart. But let's get more personal here. Imagine someone who's dealing with a stressful job. Every morning they wake up already anxious, knowing they're walking into an environment that drains them. Their commute is stressful, their boss is demanding, and their mind never shuts off. By the time they get home, they're exhausted. Not physically, but mentally and emotionally. They eat something quick and unhealthy, scroll on their phone to distract themselves, and go to bed restless. The next day, it starts again. Now multiply that by months, even years. That person might think they're fine, but inside, their heart is running a marathon it never signed up for. Their cortisol levels stay elevated. Their blood pressure creeps up slowly. Their arteries start stiffening. Their sleep gets lighter, their energy lower. And one day, out of nowhere, they feel that tightness in their chest or that strange fluttering heartbeat. And that's when they realize the toll of all that stress has caught up. It doesn't happen overnight. It's death by 1,000 emotional cuts. Sometimes it's not work. It's relationships. Living in constant tension, arguments, resentment, loneliness, or even emotional suppression can put you in a continuous state of unease. The heart and brain communicate constantly through nerves and hormones. When you're emotionally distressed, that connection becomes toxic. The brain sends danger signals, the heart speeds up, the body floods with adrenaline again and again until it becomes your new normal. And here's something fascinating. Studies have shown that people who feel socially isolated or chronically lonely have a much higher risk of developing heart failure. Why? Because loneliness triggers the same stress hormones that physical danger does. The body perceives emotional isolation as a threat to survival. So even if you're eating healthy and working out, if you're emotionally disconnected, your heart still feels under attack. There's another layer too, emotional suppression. You know those people who never express anger, who always keep everything bottled up, pretending they're fine. That bottled up tension doesn't disappear. It converts into internal pressure, elevated blood pressure, tightened muscles, faster heartbeats. You might think you're being strong by keeping emotions in check, but your heart pays the price for every feeling you refuse to process. Over time, chronic emotional stress doesn't just make your heart weaker. It changes your entire cardiovascular system. It alters your blood chemistry, thickens your blood, and makes platelets stickier, which increases the risk of clots. It can even lead to metabolic changes that raise blood sugar and cholesterol levels. That's why people under long-term emotional strain often end up with high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease altogether, even if they started healthy. But what's most dangerous about stress is how it makes you normalize the suffering. You get used to it. You start believing it's just part of life, to feel tense all the time, to wake up with worry, to feel your chest tighten when you get bad news. You convince yourself, that's just who I am now. And once you stop noticing how stress feels, you also stop noticing what it's doing to your body. It's like driving your car with the check engine light on for months. You ignore it because the car still runs until one day it doesn't. Your heart is no different. It's built to handle moments of intensity, but not a lifetime of emotional overload. And yet, most of us don't take stress seriously until it becomes a crisis. We treat it like it's just mental, forgetting that every thought and emotion sends signals to the heart, lungs, and blood vessels. That's why learning to manage emotional stress isn't just about feeling better mentally. It's about staying alive longer. Small things like deep breathing, regular exercise, journaling, meditation, or even having open, honest conversations can literally improve your heart function. When you release emotional tension, your heart gets a chance to relax. Your blood pressure drops, your rhythm steadies, and your energy returns. There's a saying that what the mind holds on to, the body expresses. If you hold on to anger, grief, fear, or resentment long enough, your body, especially your heart, starts carrying that weight. Emotional stress doesn't just live in your head, it lives in your pulse, in your breath, in your heartbeat. I've talked to people who went through years of emotional exhaustion, working too hard, caring for everyone else, never resting, and when they finally had a health scare, they realized their body had been sending signals all along. The chest tightness, the shortness of breath, the headaches, the fatigue. They weren't random. They were messages saying, you need to slow down. And maybe that's the hardest part of this whole conversation, because slowing down feels wrong in a world that glorifies hustle, pressure, and productivity. We're taught to keep going, to push through, to stay strong. But strength isn't about ignoring pain. It's about recognizing when your body, your heart are asking for mercy. Emotional stress doesn't show up on a lab test the way cholesterol does. There's no number that tells you how heavy your heart feels. But if you pay close attention to how you breathe, how you sleep, how you feel after stressful moments, you'll start noticing the small ways your heart responds. Maybe your chest feels tight after an argument. Maybe your heartbeat feels irregular after a stressful day. Maybe your energy crashes every time you deal with emotional tension. Those are all signs that your emotions are taking a physical toll. Your heart listens to your emotions more than you think. It beats faster when you're afraid, slower when you're calm, harder when you're angry, and softer when you feel love or peace. Every emotional wave passes through it. And when those waves become constant storms, the heart eventually starts to wear down. That's why emotional stress is one of the most dangerous hidden causes of heart weakness. Because it's invisible, it's constant, and it's underestimated. It's not something you can measure easily, but it's something you can feel if you stop and truly listen. So when life starts to feel too heavy, when you find yourself holding on anger, fear, or sadness for too long, remind yourself your heart is feeling it too. Every thought, every emotion, every worry, your heart carries it. And it can only carry so much before it starts to break under the weight.